Tormented geniuses. Why are we so fascinated by them? And for me, one in particular. He painted the vibrant world around him like his life depended on it, and became one of the most influential painters of all time. For the next 10 days, I'll be living like Van Gogh, because what better way to get to know someone than to follow in his footsteps? But let's start from the beginning. It's 1880. Vincent is 27, the same age as me today. We speak the same 3 languages and have the same first name, almost. We're in Nuenen, the Dutch village where Van Gogh made almost a quarter of all his works. The paintings of this period are mostly characterized by muddy tones. At this time, Van Gogh wasn't considered talented at all, but he just kept going. And today I'm attempting my very first oil painting, and also my first time painting outside in nature. Which sounds romantic until you realize the shadows keep moving, the ducks won't sit still, and the colors look different every hour. But somehow, that's the point. Painting outside is forcing me to actually look at things and understand how all of the elements interact with each other, deciding which subjects matter in my painting and which don't. And a lovely Dutch lady came outside to greet us, offered us coffee and encouraged me. And eventually her son even bought this painting, which felt like a very un-Van Gogh start to this adventure, knowing he never got much recognition while he was alive and only ended up selling one painting throughout his 10-year artistic career. This was only one of 5 eras in his career, and we're gonna explore them all in this video. But everything escalated in 1886, when he moved to Paris. The art world was changing, and it was happening here. He got inspired by the Impressionists like Pissarro, Monet, Toulouse-Lautrec, Degas. They were breaking away from dark classical painting and focused instead on light, movement and color. They were trying to capture a fleeting moment. For me, painting in Paris was chaos. I was surrounded by strangers who came up to talk to me. A full band started playing right next to me. For the entire time. But what a beautiful place to paint. Paris is where Van Gogh discovered color, so I told myself to use more color for this painting. But here's where I made a beginner's mistake. I thought by using a lot of vibrant colors, I would achieve a vibrant painting. By only using saturated colors in my painting, nothing actually stood out anymore. And I think that's also partly why Van Gogh became so obsessed with Japanese woodblock prints during this time. The Japanese understood restraint, simplicity. A single bold shape or carefully placed color suddenly had way more impact. He collected hundreds of these woodblock prints, he would hang them in his room, and he even painted copies of some of his favorites. And it so happens that I've been working for the past 6 months to create a limited series of handmade woodblock prints, made in Kyoto by 5th generation woodblock artist Kenji Takenaka. After I went there and he taught me how to woodblock print, we stayed in contact and made an exclusive print together. Every print went through more than 30 individual color presses. That means they had to make 30 hand-carved woodblocks. It's printed on the most high-quality Japanese washi paper, and there only exist 100 of each colorway. They're available now in my webshop. And by buying these prints, you're not only supporting me and my art, you're also supporting a local Japanese business and keeping an old craft alive. Van Gogh became sick of Paris and is looking for a place that has the vibrant color effects he saw in these Japanese landscapes. He headed south, and after 15 hours on the train, he arrives in Arles, the start of his era of obsession. During his time here, he completed a staggering 184 oil paintings. And arriving here myself, I understood why Van Gogh became obsessed with this place. The light feels different, nature is vast and wide. His paintings here are characterized by intense sunlight, landscapes, unusual perspectives, and above all, the color yellow. At that time, a true color revolution was happening and new and brighter oil paint tubes had just come out. I stopped trying to paint every detail correctly. The thicker and looser the brushstrokes became, the more alive the painting started to feel. And let me tell you, I can't believe Van Gogh never wrote about mosquitoes in his letters. It started with 2 or 3 of them. But by sunset, I was surrounded. So we got out of there and came back the next morning to finish the painting. This is the first oil painting where I felt ready to add my own style, my doodles. It was less about copying at this point and more about imagination. So this one felt like the first oil painting that feels like me. Around this time he wrote, "I work because I must, so as not to suffer too much mentally." His obsession comes at a cost. His mental health deteriorates, and after a fiery dispute with his longtime friend, roommate and artist Gogh, their friendship implodes. And Vincent, he cut off his own ear. He would have really benefited from better help. The paid partner of this video.
Just like Vincent, I've often sacrificed balance in my life in exchange for
Outputs in the forms of videos and artworks, and it led me to a burnout. So
through therapy, I've learned that taking a break is really essential and balance is really the key to longevity.
And I found that BetterHelp is the most accessible and immediate therapy platform out there. You fill in the questionnaire and in a couple of days you get matched with your credentialed therapist,
who is trained to listen and give you helpful and unbiased advice. And if the therapist is not the right fit, you can get a new one at no extra cost.
You can communicate with them through text, email, or a call. In the link in the description, you can get 10% off your first month of therapy from BetterHelp.
And thank you BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. See you in Saint-Remy.
Van Gogh voluntarily admits himself to a mental asylum. He suffered from depression, epilepsy, and hallucinations. He was isolated. Painting became a necessity to him, to prove to himself and others that he was still sane. Most of the paintings he made here were looking out to landscapes from his asylum window. You might know this one. Since he was cut off from much of the outside world, he became his own subject. Van Gogh is known for his many self-portraits and achieved a wide variety of results throughout his life. It's quite remarkable. Originally, I wasn't even planning on making a self-portrait in this video, mostly because it terrified me. I almost never draw realistic faces, and this would be my first self-portrait in a medium I had only started learning a week ago. But the last few days have given me enough courage to dive headfirst into this challenge. There's something really strange about staring at yourself for hours, noticing the colors, noticing the shapes, the way light reflects off your skin. Even though my proportions are not entirely correct, I do feel like I managed to capture my essence pretty well, and I'm really proud of that. The green doodles surrounding my head feel like imaginary demons, which felt strangely appropriate for this part of Van Gogh's life. In the asylum he wrote, "I will consider myself happy if I can work enough to earn my living. It worries me that I've done so many pictures without ever selling one." If only he knew. At this point, Vincent is 37 and moved back closer to his brother Theo in Verhous, a quiet village close to Paris. Even today, it feels like time stood still here. It has this old charm, picturesque plants, and a lot of the same buildings that Van Gogh saw and painted. At this point, Vincent needed a doctor every day, and he worried about losing his skills, but he never did. In his last 70 days before his death, he made 74 paintings. This book contains all of them, and this is my favorite, his very last painting. It feels more abstract than the others, even bolder colors, and supposedly it was unfinished. Around this time, he frequently painted on this double square canvas, meaning the width is twice as long as the height. And I think he was onto something because I had a blast painting on this canvas. I stood on the exact same spot where Van Gogh painted this 136 years ago. I'm using everything I learned to create this last piece. I'm trying not to be afraid but to be confident, and I wanted this one to be the most Vexx yet, featuring the most amount of doodles. People often talk about Van Gogh as a tormented genius, but after visiting these places and learning about him, that's not what stayed with me. What stayed with me was his obsession with creating. Painting over and over again, even when he doubted himself, even when nobody cared. And strangely, once I came home from this trip, I couldn't stop painting. Bigger canvases, more color, more experimentation. It felt like living through Van Gogh's world had given my own art a new life.